Hello everyone, and welcome to SuttonsDaze and to the 30 Days of Preparedness collaboration. There is a playlist in the description box below, along with direct links to all of the channels participating in this absolutely great collaboration. September here in the United States is National Preparedness Month, and this is our way of bringing you a preparedness video every single day for the month of September. It's a fantastic playlist, lots of really great ideas, suggestions, and videos. I hope that you will go take a look at them and say hi to all the channels that are participating. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about food storage safety tips. Yes, you've gone to all that work. You have spent the money. You have invested the time to build up a food storage for an emergency. You're listening to your intuition and saying, something's just not right. Now what do we do? Okay, so now that you have invested that time and that money into your food storage, now it's time to make sure that it stays safe. So we've got a few tips for you to make sure that that happens. Let's go. As always, remember it's first in, first out. It's very important to rotate your food storage and make it a part of your regular eating habits, okay? If you're not using it, you're wasting money. So while it is for an emergency, it's the fact that it's there. You can still work through it. So don't not eat it and then buy new stuff for your regular kitchen cupboards. You want to make sure that you're buying stuff, putting it in your pantry, pulling the stuff out of your pantry, putting it into your kitchen, and rotating it through. First in, first out. If you buy 10 cans of tuna 1 week and then you buy 10 more cans of tuna 2 weeks later, you want to make sure to put those 10 new cans behind the first original 10, because that way you're making sure that it's first in, first out. Very important, keeps you from wasting money. Know the difference between an expiration date and a best by date, okay? I've got friends, bless her heart, I love her to death, that won't eat anything the minute it hits that date. She's not going to touch it. She's not going to go anywhere near it. And me, I'm like, oh, that's a really great suggestion. Let's wait and see. But there's a best by date and then there's an expiration date. Best by dates are very much a suggestion put on by the food companies to the retailers to say, hey, if it's not done by then, ship it out, because we want to make sure that people continue to buy. If you purchase it and you see that date, then we want you to make sure to get rid of it so that you can purchase more, because we don't want you to sit there and hang on to your food. We want you to keep purchasing more. Best by date, okay? So those come with a grain of salt. They really do. Learn what works best for you. Tomato products, acidic products, those are ones that you have to really pay attention to. Grab a Sharpie marker, because you know, especially when you reach that age, those little bitty, teeny tiny little letters and numbers that are on the cans and such, they're really a pain. So if you get a chance when you get home, grab a Sharpie marker and write on the can in larger font what those dates are so that you can keep track of it. And then you can, somebody in our group just mentioned today, I think, that they noticed that the stuff that they bought at the store this week had a best by date sooner than the stuff that she already had on her shelves. So it's something that you want to pay attention to, really, really watch, and that Sharpie marker makes it much more visible for you to do that. So tip number 2. Okay, tip number 3, we're always talking about, hey, if you don't have a big space to store your food, find those, interesting nooks, crannies, under beds, in drawers, that kind of thing. Well, that works really good, but what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're revisiting those, okay? And then the ones with the closest dates, you want to pull those up into your active kitchen, and you want to put the newer stuff into those hidey hole spots. So be sure to rotate through your food storage so that the stuff with the nearest dates, no matter when you picked it up, the stuff with the nearest dates is always at the front of your vision, whether that is in your kitchen cabinets, but not necessarily in your hidey holes in your pantry. And you want to make sure that if you're stacking it on a shelf, that the stuff with the nearest expiration dates is the item that's up front, and the stuff with the longest expiration dates is the stuff on the back. Try to figure out a minimum. Now, this may take a little bit of time, but a minimum amount of any particular item that you keep in your pantry on a regular basis, figure out what your minimum amount is, okay? I know that in our house, I want a minimum amount of 100 pints of chicken, because we go through 100 pints of chicken every single year. That's lunches, that's dinners, that's family meals, that's You know, it's all kinds of things. But we legitimately go through 100 pints of chicken every year in this household. So my goal every year is to make sure that I have 100 jars of chicken on the shelf. We go through about 1 jar of peanut butter a month. So I want to make sure that we always have 12 jars of peanut butter so that it's for an entire year. This not only works for food, this also works for all of your sundry items, your hygiene items, toilet paper, paper towels, shampoo. You know how much you use, and so you want to figure out what your minimum is. That's your goal for what to have on the shelf. And then when you hit that goal, you just have to keep track of it so that you just have to backfill it at your next grocery trip or the next time you see it go on sale. That becomes very helpful as you get farther into the food storage and pantry building process. But when you're first starting out, your goal is to figure out how much of something that you use. I know that we're going to go through at least 2 pints of green beans every single week. So that means that I want 104 pints of green beans on my shelf, or cans, if that's cans. That's how many I want on my shelf for a whole year. Drill that down if you have to for a week. So a week is 2, a month is 8, go from there, okay? And that's how many to put on your shelves to get you through whatever time that you're stocking up for. Remember, don't go for that year to start off with. Back that boat up a little bit and try to just keep it down to 3 months at first, okay? If you're just starting out, a week, a month, 3 months, get those miles in first and then go for the year, because it's going to take a while to learn the process and to learn the system. It really is a phenomenal system once you're on it, but you're going to run into a few hiccups. So we still do. We still run into times where we're like, why did we do that? Or why didn't we do that? We don't know. So it's a process. Don't kick yourself for anything that happens. If you are purchasing emergency food, okay, if you are purchasing the freeze-dried food for the purpose of an emergency, if you are purchasing some of those, meal packets that they advertise, emergency food supplies, that kind of thing, you always make sure that wherever you store it, it's in a cool, dry, clean place, okay? You want to make sure that that is totally separate and that it's cool and clean and dry, because you want to make sure that nothing interferes with that no matter where you're at. Like I said, we're all dealing with different things. Here we're dealing with the cold in the wintertime. You've got tornadoes in certain areas. You've got hurricanes in other areas. So you want to make sure that wherever you're putting your emergency food storage, it's at its safest. The best place to store your food is someplace that is cool, dark, and dry, right? So we're going to hit the cool part right now. And even 70, 75 degrees is optimum. Now, a lot of people don't have air conditioning, so that's not always an option, right? It gets to 90, it gets to 100. And so you want to find, don't panic about it. Don't not stock up for that reason. You just want to keep an eye on it for that reason, okay? So make sure that the room that you're storing everything in is void of as much natural light as possible. Your food actually diminishes in nutritional value when it's hit with direct light. So if you don't have a way to close off the windows and make it dark, then hang something like dark colored curtains or sheets or something like that around the bookcases or around the cabinets where your food is stored. And if you can, try to keep it at a nice 70, 75. Don't go lower than 40. Try not to go higher than 75. But your garage is really not the best place for it, because no matter where you live, your temperatures are going to fluctuate quite a bit. And unless you have a garage that you're living in, and my sister has one of those. My sister lives in her garage. So, but you want to make sure that the temperature is very static. So unless you have the garage set up in such a way that you can control the climate in it, that's not where you want to store your food. Do it someplace in the house. Do your level best to keep it pest-free. Because, and I know that can be difficult. It is my greatest fear that a mouse gets into the pantry and discovers all of the toilet paper and paper towels that I have in there. It freaks me out, okay? So do what you can to keep it as pest-free as possible. Be vigilant. Make sure you clean things up. Keep an eye on things. Look around. Pay attention to what's happening in there. And that way you can keep an eye on whether or not there are bugs, whether or not there are mice, whether or not there's anything else that might go in there. Don't tell me, I don't want to know. Always remember to keep your food storage away from any kind of hazardous material or cleaners, okay? You just don't ever want the two to mix. You don't want them to just by osmosis, get some of the cleaning supplies around your food. So just keep them in separate areas, maybe separate shelves, maybe separate rooms, whatever works best for you and your storage. So these are just some really basic food safety storage tips, because we want you to build your pantry. We want you to have that insurance, but we want you to be safe while you're doing it. And I really hope that this helps and makes you think about a few different things that are happening where you are with your food storage and how you can keep it safe. Remember, if you like what we do here, please hit that like, subscribe, and share. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Check out the playlist for the 30 Days of Preparedness collaboration. Only a few more days left. Until next time, be safe.